Okay, you selected your real estate broker, you have selected your mortgage lender, and we've got you pre-approved. Now it's time to start looking for houses. Listen, you don't need a real estate agent for access to homes. Let me tell you why it's important, however, to loop your real estate agent in on the process, and we'll talk through the process of looking for homes. Statistically, 51% of buyers find their own home and then send it to the real estate agent. Even though I have technology and I have my buyers on constant emails about properties that are coming up and I'm looking for off-market properties and lots of opportunities, so many times I get a text message from a client saying, hey, we found this perfect house on Zillow or Redfin or Trulia or whatever the sites are. Can we see it? Absolutely. That works out so much because they are very invested in this personally. So I understand that they're going to be looking even more than I do for their right home. There are also a lot of open houses that are available and people have the opportunity to tour those open houses. A bit of caution on that. It's very important that you take your real estate broker with you when you go to open houses, or at least loop them in on the fact that you're going. A lot of real estate agents host open houses that aren't even their listings in hopes of getting new buyers to work with. And so you kind of step into a little bit of a shark pool where they're going to be looking at you, hoping that you would work with them. So assuming you like the real estate agent that you're committed to and are working with, it's very important that you can at least let them know, hey, I'm going to be looking at open houses this weekend. They may want to come with you. I know I like to, because I love to be there to see and read your body language and see your emotions on the house to see if this might be a good fit for you. And then when you go to those open houses, if you are not with your broker, make sure to be honest to the real estate agent who is there hosting and let them know, I'm actually working with Steve Harris, and he just couldn't be here today or whatever. Super important. And then I would always call that listing agent and say, hey, thanks for having that open house. My buyer really enjoyed it, because I like to give them feedback so that we can continue to work together to make this market strong and wonderful and easy for buyers and sellers to transact in. So now that we're looking at homes, there's a couple of things that I really appreciate doing that aren't necessarily always on your thoughts, specifically as a first-time home buyer. Now, anytime I pull into a home, if it's the first home that we're seeing for the day, I always arrive about 15, 20 minutes early, and I love to sit outside the home silently and just listen. There's a lot that can be determined about that home and the neighborhood that it is in by just simply being quiet and listening. I have heard neighbors fighting. I have heard kids screaming. I have heard dogs barking. I've even heard a gunshot. It's very important that we understand the wholeness of where that house is at in the neighborhood. I always like to drive the neighborhood in front of, behind, and on the side of the house to see what other neighbors, how they operate. I look for, are they caring for their lawns? Do people seem like they feel safe to let their kids out in the front yard? How much traffic is coming up and down the street? What does the sound look like? I want to engage all of the senses to really figure it out. I actually was just at a house yesterday that we had looked at a couple of times, and it was cooler weather when we had looked. The weather's starting to warm up in the Pacific Northwest, and I actually was able to smell that there was obviously a pasture somewhere nearby. The wind and the warmth was kind of bringing that up. Not a big deal to the buyer. Truly wasn't overpowering, but it's something you may not notice depending on when you look at it. Very, very important that before you even enter the house, before you let your emotions come into that house, that you think about, what does the wholeness of this look like? Next, when you're going to preview a house in 2025, it is super important, and I point this out to every one of my buyers, that we look around to see if there are cameras. Ring cameras and other systems are around everywhere. Like I have mentioned in multiple videos now, every aspect of this transaction, from the looking stage through the pre-approval, all the way through writing the offer and beyond, is a negotiation. I do not want to have my buyers talking about how excited they are about this house on a camera when I'm trying to negotiate a less than offer price for them. I don't want them to discuss anything that makes it seem like they're committed and we lose our edge when it comes to presenting our offer and our negotiation. It's also unfortunately important to remember, because there are people who are looking to be wronged. I've seen lots of confrontations when a seller got offended by something that the buyer said. Remember, this is somebody's home. They have poured a lot of years and money and memories in, and even discussing how much you don't like that bright orange wall in the kitchen may be offensive to them. And so it's super important that we're also honoring and respecting somebody else's home that they're allowing us into. So when we enter the home, yes, we want to look at the condition of it, but we also want to see if we can picture you staying in that home, living in that home, raising your family in that home, coming home from a hard day work, whatever those feelings are. Typically, when I enter a home with a client, I open the door, I walk in first, and I look at whoever I feel is the most emotional of the pair, and I look at their eyes. I have walked into countless homes, and I'm probably about a 75% success rate of predicting whether they want to write an offer on the home, just simply by the feeling that they get and how that shows on their body language. When you walk in, you feel that home. And it's very important. The home that I live in, we walked in the door and went, yes, this is it, before we even got through the foyer. Very important that you feel the home and the energy and how you can feel yourself walking in each day. Now, as we progress through the home, again, we want to go back to the list that you originally created of the things that you must have, the things that you absolutely cannot have, and some of the negotiables and the things that you can deal with. It's also important to remember that just because this home is situated this way, there are many changes you can make. Light fixtures, flooring, paint colors on the wall, etc. Now, some people absolutely do not want to make any adjustments on a home. Some people, they have no problem looking past it, knowing that they're going to make this house ultimately their home in their way of doing so. Now, my job as the real estate broker, when I walk clients through a home, is to find all the reasons that they need to pass on this home and not purchase this one. Now, I'm not doing that because I want to be negative, but I'm doing that because I am unemotional. My buyers, when they walk in, most of the time are going to start feeling emotions. They're going to start feeling that I'm in, if it's one that they are thinking about moving forward on, they start understanding where they're going to put their Christmas tree. I start hearing the conversations about, oh, my grandma's china will fit this cabinet perfectly, or whatever. When you are emotionally walking through a home, as most buyers do, you are not going to see all the things that are wrong with it. So I don't beat the house up, but I definitely point out to them, hey, there's a crack here. Hey, I don't know if you saw that the sunlight actually is going to be coming through this window here. I don't know if you saw the stains on the carpet. Do you guys smell that pet odor? That might be something to think about. Again, my job is not to talk them out of buying the home, but to bring the unemotional things forward so that they can make an informed and intelligent decision. The last thing I want is for my buyer to get in contract on a house, and once the original emotions have faded, to not want this home, or even worse, to finish up and make this home theirs and not be happy with their decision. So my job is to counteract the emotions that buyers are going through. Again, as you're walking through the home, use all of your senses. Smell if there was, maybe some pet odor. Maybe there was, we've had a lot of them where, you can tell that some older people had lived there, and there's some odor there. Smokers, even. Very, very important that you look at that. As we progress into the next stages, assuming that this is the right home, there will be home inspections. There will be ways that we can dig into the house a little bit more, and there will be a video on that specifically. But before we even get to that point, it's important that you feel where you're at. The last question that I always ask, if I feel like we're moving forward, I always ask people, so where are you going to put the Christmas tree? Now, listen, I understand there are people that don't celebrate Christmas. I've had quite a few buyers that have said, we don't do Christmas. That's the point of the Christmas tree, is not that. It is, have you pictured yourself here? And if their answer is quick, yes, I know exactly where it's going to be. I picture Christmas morning and my children coming downstairs and unwrapping their gifts or whatever. If their answer is specifically that and it's quick, I know that we've probably found the right house. So that's a question you can ask yourself. Can I come home from a hard day's work? Where would I put the Christmas tree, etc.? See if it's a place that you can feel yourself in. Now that we found the perfect home, the next step we need to do is submit an offer. We'll touch that on the next video. Talk to you soon.